After the funeral, the estate lawyer handed Catherine a worn green spiral notebook. "Your father wanted you to have this." She waited until she was alone in her apartment to open it. Inside the front cover, 6 rules were penciled in her father's neat handwriting.
Dad was an archivist. How dangerous could filing documents be?
Rule 1. Never open a file box without a partner. Rule 2. Never reshelve a box with a later date than the box beside it.
What happens if someone breaks these rules?
The rules grew stranger. Typing after 9. A sealed sublevel. Their own reflections. Rule 6. If you see your reflection in the glass cases, look away immediately.
He never mentioned anything like this. What was he really doing down there?
Catherine closed the notebook, but the mystery had already taken root. She had to find out the truth. Rule 3. Do not respond if you hear typing after 9 p.m. Rule 4. Sublevel 4 is sealed for a reason.
Sealed for what reason? He never even mentioned a sublevel 4.
Rule 5. The freight elevator stops on its own. Take the stairs.
Was he just paranoid? Or did these rules come from something real?
For 31 years, Jack Hayes had come home, kissed her forehead, and said nothing about his day. The only evidence of his job were a few yellow diagrams tucked into drawers.
He was hiding something dangerous.
She searched online for Pentagon archive anomalies, scouring forums and declassified records. Every lead dead-ended in redacted fields or dull history pages. The rules read like the paranoid scribbles of a man who had spent too long underground. But the pit in her stomach refused to let her laugh them off. She opened a new browser tab and began drafting a Freedom of Information Act request for her father's full personnel file. She spent the night drafting the request, citing her father's name, dates of service, and any archived incident reports. The acknowledgement came a week later. A form letter promising a response within 20 business days.
20 days turned into 40. Either bureaucracy or someone burying the file.
A FOIA on your own father? I've never heard of a journalist doing that.
He left me a notebook, Laura. 6 rules he never explained. Something happened in that basement.
You are chasing shadows. The Pentagon archives are a legend mill. Every clerk has stories.
These rules feel different. He wrote them like warnings. I have to know what he was protecting.
Just don't let it consume you. I'll keep your page open, but promise me you'll step back if it gets weird.
Weeks dragged on without a response. Catherine checked her mailbox daily, the waiting a slow corrosion. Then, one overcast Thursday, a thick manila envelope with a return address from the Defense Technical Information Center landed on her doormat. She pulled the stack from the envelope. Page after page was blacked out. Only headers and redacted blocks visible, except one. Its title read, Chronological Intrusion Event, Pentagon Sublevel 3 Archive. The report described file boxes appearing out of date order, their labels rewriting themselves in real time. It stated that an archivist named Jack Hayes manually rebuilt the sequence from a paper master index kept in a safe.
Dad fought something impossible.
At the bottom, a heavy red stamp, declassified. And beneath it, in typewriter ink, contained meant the event was stopped, but the cause was never identified.
The master index. It's the key. I have to find it.
She read the report twice, each detail carving into the cheerful image she'd held of her father's quiet office job. Catherine set the page down. The rules were no longer paranoid scribbles. They were a survival manual. Catherine searched her father's old Rolodex. A name kept appearing, Frank Morrison, retired archivist, listed beside a Maryland number. She dialed, each ring a heartbeat. A gruff voice answered on the 5th tone.
Who is this?
Mr. Morrison. My name is Catherine Hayes. I am Jack Hayes' daughter.
Jack's girl. I figured you'd come looking eventually. Saw the obituary.
I found his notebook. 6 rules and a declassified report from '87. I need to know about the master index.
That index is dangerous. Jack rebuilt the archive after the intrusion. He kept it in a safe for years. But after 2010, he took it home.
Home. The storage unit.
Listen, Catherine. Sublevel 4 is sealed for a reason. Your father knew the price of digging too deep. Let it rest.
The line clicked dead. Frank's warning echoed louder than his words. The master index was out there, waiting. In a shoebox filled with her father's old things, Catherine found a silver storage key taped to a piece of cardboard labeled Unit 214.
He never mentioned a storage unit. The index has to be there, hidden among decades of secrets.
She drove to the facility as the sun set, orange light glinting off rows of identical doors. Inside Unit 214, cardboard boxes rose in dusty towers. She clicked on her flashlight and stepped in.
Decades of silence stacked in cardboard boxes. He never intended anyone, not even his own daughter, to look through this.
Behind a stack of old office supplies, her light caught a metal case with a heavy padlock. She retrieved a crowbar from her trunk and broke the lock. The metal groaned open, echoing in the stillness. Nestled inside was a leather-bound ledger, its cover stamped with the faded gold emblem of the Pentagon.
The master index. He really kept it.
Her hands trembled as she held the ledger. The air in the unit grew still, as if the archive itself waited for her to open it. She opened the ledger. The pages crackled with dust, each line in her father's familiar script, dates, accession numbers, cryptic notations. But as she turned the pages, the dates leaped forward. 2025, 2026, 2027. Entries for events not yet occurred. She found her own name, Catherine Hayes. Graduation, Columbia Journalism School. Listed beside a date in 2014, the year she'd applied.
He wrote this years before I even decided on journalism. How is that possible?
Her first byline, her move to the Washington Post, her award nominations all recorded in ink before she'd lived them. The final page made her hands shake. The handwriting there was heavier, the pen pressing deep into the paper. Catherine, do not publish what you find. The archive is reading you back. I am sorry.
He knew I'd open this. He knew every step I'd take before I took it.
The warning echoed against the concrete walls. Her father had apologized from beyond the grave for something not yet done. The index was dated 2027. And after the message, there were still blank lines, as if the archive expected more entries. Back in her apartment, Catherine spread the index beside her father's notebook. The impossible entries blurred before her eyes.
It's not a hoax. The 1987 report, the dates. He really wrote the future.
She dialed Frank again, her voice thin with fear.
You found the index. I can hear it in your voice.
It has entries for 2027. My whole life, written out. How is that possible?
Jack believed the archive was alive. The index was its tether, stopping its timeline from spilling into ours. After he retired in 2010, Sub-Level 4 was sealed permanently. No one goes down there anymore.
The sealed level, Rule 4, wasn't just a warning, it was a containment measure.
Your father knew the cost of digging too deep. He paid it every day. Now you are walking the same path.
The line went dead. Catherine stared at the notebook, the weight of the truth pressing down like a physical force. Against every instinct, Catherine opened her laptop and began an exposé. The rules, the 1987 report, the index, all of it.
The public has a right to know. Whatever the archive is, it can't be allowed to operate in secret.
As she typed, a flicker in her peripheral vision, the framed photo on her desk, a family shot from years ago. Her own reflection in the glass twitched. A blink she hadn't made, a subtle tilt of the head.
Rule 6. If you see your reflection in the glass cases, look away immediately.
She jerked her head to the side, her heart hammering against her ribs.
It's just stress. Sleep deprivation. The reflection didn't actually move.
But when she dared a glance back, the photo sat still, the reflection her own, except the eyes which still seemed to hold a separate awareness. She grabbed a dish towel and threw it over the frame. The fabric settled, hiding the image. She returned to the article, fingers trembling over the keyboard. The archive might be watching, but she wasn't stopping. It was after 9 when the typing began, not from her laptop, but from the hallway outside her apartment door. The sound was unmistakable. Typewriter keys, rhythmic and deliberate, echoing from the empty corridor.
Rule 3. Do not respond if you hear typing after 9.
The typing stopped. Then her laptop screen flickered. The article vanished, replaced by 2 words. Rule 1.
Who are you?
She typed the question, but the cursor only blinked. No response came.
Never open a file box without a partner. That's the first rule. Why is the archive reminding me of that now?
She tried to delete the words, but they reappeared instantly. The archive was not asking, it was stating. The typing from the hallway resumed. Faster now, as if something was growing impatient. When she looked at the clock again, it read 9:03. The apartment fell silent. Her laptop screen was blank. The next morning, Catherine called Laura, her voice raw. They met at a coffee shop off DuPont Circle. She placed the worn green notebook and the leather-bound master index on the table between them.
You brought the archive's diary? I thought you were kidding about the future predictions.
Read the last page. My father wrote a warning to me years before I'd ever need it.
Laura's fingers hesitated on the final page, her eyes scanning the impossible words.
Catherine, if this is real, you can't just publish. The archive is already responding to you.
Catherine opened the index to a minor entry. Power outage, 3:42 p.m. Tomorrow.
We wait. Tomorrow at 3:42. If the lights go out, we accept that this is happening.
And if it actually happens, what's your next move? Burn the notebook? Or fight back?
Catherine stared at the ledger, her voice barely a whisper. Then I decide whether the truth is worth the price my father paid. The next afternoon, Catherine sat alone in her living room, eyes fixed on the digital clock. 3:41 p.m. At exactly 3:42, the lights flickered once and died. Her apartment plunged into heavy, silent darkness.
The index was right, down to the minute.
She fumbled for her phone and dialed Laura, her hands shaking.
My entire block is black. It's not a coincidence, Catherine.
The archive didn't just predict it. It made it happen. It's rewriting reality around us.
The silence of the outage pressed in, broken only by her rapid breathing.
This thing can manipulate time itself. My father's warning was the only shield I had.
When the lights flickered back on, Catherine didn't move. The apartment hummed with unnatural quiet. She reached for the notebook and the index, her decision solidifying in the stillness. Whatever came next, she had to act. The notebook lay open on her desk, the 6 rules staring up like verdicts. Beside it, the master index seemed to hum with unspoken threat.
He wrote, "I am sorry." He knew this would destroy me, but he left it anyway.
Her phone buzzed. Laura's name glowed on the screen. She answered with a hollow voice.
I've been thinking, we could bring this to a larger outlet, anonymously. Force the archive into the light.
Laura, it changed my bylines before I even published. It could spread the danger to everyone who reads it.
So what? You just bury it? Let your father's work and his death mean nothing.
Bury it and I might survive. Publish it and I become another entry in the index.
She ended the call and stared at the notebook. Her father's handwriting blurred with the weight of impossible choice.
Rule 1. Never open a file box without a partner. But I am already inside the box and there's no one else.
The decision was hers alone, and the clock was ticking. She picked up the notebook, feeling its worn cover like a heartbeat. She drove through the dusk streets to a forgotten picnic area by the river, the bag of evidence heavy on the seat beside her. The picnic area was deserted, the only sound the river lapping against the bank. She parked and carried the bag to a rusted barrel near the water. She knelt and opened the master index to the final page. Her father's words stared back. "I am sorry." She closed her eyes, then placed the notebook and the index into the barrel. Her hands steadied as she struck a match.
Let this be enough.
The match fell. Flames erupted, curling the green cover, consuming the pencil rules and the ledger's forbidden entries. The ink of her father's handwriting twisted into ash. The 6 rules, the impossible prophecies, all reduced to embers.
It's done. The tether is broken.
The fire burned down to blackened paper and embers. A charred corner of the green cover remained, a final trace of the past. She stayed until the last spark died, then drove home in silence, hoping the archive would let her go. Her apartment was dark and still, the residual smell of smoke clinging to her jacket. She didn't turn on the lights. She collapsed into bed, sleep pulling her under the moment her head touched the pillow. In her dream, she walked the Pentagon archive corridor. Rows of gray cabinets, stretching into impossible darkness. Her father's face appeared, lips moving without sound, his eyes pleading. Then the green door swung open. She woke at 3:03 a.m., the digital clock casting red numbers across the room. Her skin was slick with cold sweat. The room was dead silent, but a weight pressed against the air, as if something was in the corner, watching. She forced herself to get up and walk to her desk. The laptop was closed, but its tiny webcam light blinked green.
It never stopped watching. The burning was just a gesture.
She slammed the laptop shut, the plastic echoing in the dark. Sitting on the edge of her bed, she hugged her knees. The relief she had felt at the river was gone. Whatever the archive wanted, it hadn't been satisfied. Morning light crept through the curtains. Catherine's phone buzzed with an email from a colleague. "Did you change your byline? Someone says your old articles now list a different author." She sat up, dread spiking. She pulled her laptop open and navigated to the first article she'd ever published. The page loaded. Her byline had been replaced with M. Carlson, but the headshot beside the byline was still hers.
They erased my name, but left my face. Everyone will know it's me, but I can't claim my own work.
She opened a second site, then a third. Every article she had ever written now bore the same stranger's byline.
Laura, it happened. My entire body of work is gone. The archive, it took my name.
Laura's voice crackled through the speaker, asking if there was a mistake, but Catherine already knew.
The rules were real. I broke every single one just by knowing they existed.
She set the phone down. The exposé she had started was a ghost of a life she no longer owned. In a single night, the archive had unspooled her entire career. She was a journalist with no name left to publish under.
Laura, we have to fight back. Issue a correction. Tell everyone this is a hack, a database error.
Do it! Use the Post's platform. If you can't claim your own byline, expose the manipulation.
She opened a blank document, fingers poised over the keyboard. Determination hardened her focus. She typed, "My name is Catherine Hayes." The letters appeared normally, then a pause. As she hit space, the cursor jumped back and replaced her name with M. Carlson. She tried again. "I am Catherine Hayes." The screen warped the same way. Each letter blinked out and was rewritten.
It won't even let me claim my own name.
She attempted to write an explanation, but every instance of her name auto-corrected. She couldn't describe the archive without erasing herself. The cursor blinked on the empty page, as if waiting for her to admit defeat. She slammed the laptop shut. The sound echoed through the silent apartment. She was silenced. The archive had taken her voice, not by killing her, but by erasing the very word that defined her. Catherine wandered through the apartment like a ghost, her movements aimless, the silence pressing like a physical weight. She passed the hallway mirror and froze. Her reflection stared back, but its expression was wrong, a slow, knowing smile she wasn't making.
Rule 6. Look away immediately.
She jerked her head aside, heart hammering, and stumbled backward. Her hand found a towel draped on a hook. She threw it over the mirror, the fabric covering the grinning reflection. The archive was still watching. Through glass, through screens, through any surface that could hold a reflection.
I can't even look at my own face without it mocking me.
She stood in the dim living room, the covered mirror a mute sentinel behind her. The walls seemed closer. She understood now. The 6 rules were not paranoid rantings. They were a survival guide for a war she had already lost. The next afternoon, Catherine stood before her father's headstone, the autumn wind pulling at her coat.
Dad, I tried to bury it, but the archive buried me instead.
The granite felt colder than she remembered, as if the ground itself rejected warmth. A familiar old sedan with a faded Pentagon sticker eased to the curb.
Figured you'd end up here. Jack's peace never lasted long.
I did what he said. Why isn't that enough?
He knew the price. You are not the first to be cataloged.
He means others have been erased before me. I am just another entry.
He didn't wait for a reply. The sedan disappeared down the winding cemetery road, leaving her alone with the stones. She sat on the cold grass, fingers tracing the engraved dates, knowing her name was now just another entry. Back in her apartment, Catherine sat at her desk as dusk bled into night. The laptop closed in front of her. The room was still, but then the laptop screen flickered on by itself. The cursor glided across the screen, opening a blank text file with the deliberate rhythm of a typewriter. It typed, Catherine Hayes, accession number 2024, -0387, status, open. She stared, transfixed, as the cursor blinked patiently at the end of the line.
They cataloged me. Just like Frank said, I am a file now.
Her reflection in the dark screen stared back, eyes meeting her own, but this time she didn't look away. The webcam light winked green, recording her surrender.
Status open. It's waiting for more entries.
She closed the laptop, but the green light stayed on. Far beneath the Pentagon, beyond sub-level 3, the archive stretched into geometrically impossible darkness. A gloved hand placed a new file box on a shelf. The label read, Hayes C 2024 -0387. The box was one of thousands, its date stamp aligning perfectly with the one beside it. A faceless rubber stamp pressed, approved for permanent storage, onto a cover sheet bearing her name. At the corridor's end, the sealed door to sub-level 4 pulsed with a foreboding green light. The sound of a million silent names pressed against the shelves, a timeless echo of the archived. Each box was a life cataloged, a voice extinguished, a rule obeyed. The green light pulsed, a slow, patient heartbeat that had measured years. It matched the rhythm of a surveillance camera's wink, recording without end. The archive was not satisfied. It was merely waiting for the next entry. The archive corridor dissolved into black, the green light swallowed by perfect darkness. The camera lingered on nothing. Then came the sound of typing, a typewriter's sharp, metronomic clicks. A single line appeared on the void, written in real time as if an unseen archivist was recording a warning. It read, Never open a file box without a partner. The words hung there. The rule that started it all, now a final epitaph. The typing ceased. The silence stretched, absolute and suffocating. No music played. No motion stirred. Just the echo of a truth that had cost everything. The blank screen held for a count of 10, an invitation to look away, but the warning remained, burned into the darkness. And somewhere, deep beneath the Pentagon, the green light pulsed once more, cut to black.